Well, with the cold weather causing abandonments of turf meetings left, right and centre, what we really need is the view of an all-weather expert to give us his golden rules on all-weather betting. As you can see, I've been joined by one in the shape of Bruce Jackson, who spends more time at Lingfield Park than he does at home. So Bruce, give us your first golden rule of all-weather betting.
It's got to be the basic one, the will to win. Both your own, you've got to have the passion to sort of do the hard work, put it all in, and also, especially all-weather winter, the horse has got to have a will to win. And that narrows down an amazing number of races. There are horses that won't win and they will still be back. They'll still be short priced in the betting. So, that's the first rule.
But how do you know if a horse doesn't have the will to win without having seen it in action?
Well, as they run, almost like buses, they come around every week, don't they? I mean, you soon build up a file. Like I say, this is where the hard work goes in. You you build your own files. Whether you use the Racing Post website and put on your My Notes, you put in there horses. You go like this wouldn't go by, this wouldn't go by. Yeah, occasionally the race might pan out. They're left in front, they do win, but you will have many times where you'll be striking off upwards of 4 or 5 in a race, because you know that even if everything pans out, they probably won't put their head in front. They don't have any desire to win, and they're still 5 and 6 to 1 shots often in betting because the class of racing is so bad.
So that's what fascinates you about the all-weather then, is it that there's a whole raft of horses in a race that you can just put a line through immediately because they just haven't got that ability at all?
Yeah, I mean, there's 1% of the winter racing which is still classy. There's class 2, class 3s, but I spend most of my weeks watching class 5, 6, 7 races, and they are horses that either are sort of like youngsters coming through, and obviously you wouldn't put a line through them straight away, the maidens, but you're talking, my staple fare is class 6 handicaps between 5 furlongs and 1.25 miles, and there's a whole raft of horses in that basically have had enough of racing, out of love with it, or never were in love with it, and they're still, the youngsters are never in love, and the old ones that have fallen out, and you can sort of immediately cross them off. So you get sort of 12 runner races that effectively probably only have 3 that can win. I mean, I saw one last week, was it Saturday at Lingfield? Good old Marvo of Mark Tompkins. If that wins, I'll do something seriously.
Yeah. Okay, well, we all look forward to that. So that's golden rule number 1, the will to win and lots of hard work. The golden rule number 2 of betting on the all-weather is?
Age is no barrier. Again, I think midsummer, all through so when the big Arab owners and the big sort of trainers have all the horses out, the 3 and 4 year olds are doing exceptionally well, probably nicking everything. But in the winter, 8, 9, 10 year olds. I mean, obviously there's a great story last winter, the Tattling at 14 still managed to sign off with a win.
Yeah.
Especially the old sprinters, those 5, 6 furlong horses that sort of, basically it's just like a fast piece of work for them. They can come out, run week in, week out, but there's a whole host of them that sort of are winning at 9 or 10. A lot of people don't really latch on to that. I think, they still give the 4-year-old that, again, sort of probably is of lacking in class, that they'll make that favourite, and there'll be a 9-year-old that in the past was probably an 80 rated horse or whatever, but it's come down to sort of 55, 60 to sort of compete in the low class at this time of year. And time again, they come in at very decent prices. You just need to find when the whole situation is right for them. They'll have a history, those old horses, either they need a fast pace or they might need a slow pace, they might need covering up, so you're looking at the draw for where they're coming from. There's lots of little additions, but just the golden rule is age is no barrier. You can win at 9, 10, 11. Turf season is all about sort of mostly class. This time of year we're talking about really not scraping the barrel, but it is that time of year when all the good ones are off, all the playboys are off sort of sunning themselves and whatever. You are down to the nitty gritty, and some of these old horses, obviously, the owners love them. They're good old work horses. They lead some of the youngsters home and things like that. They just have a chance to, pick up their apples and carrot money by just running around for the low sort of grade money. So again, there's no good class horses running this time of year. There's no good horses to take the old boys off their legs.
But it's Daniel Thomas and William Carson out in front, clear by 4 lengths as they approach the line, and the favourite's going to land the hat-trick in good style. Daniel Thomas is the winner. Master of Dance in second. Moral Issue.
Well, Bruce Jackson there has just talked about don't be put off by older horses, and his third golden rule is to watch the young ones.
Yeah, another what I think is just a little bit of an edge to your betting is forget the 4-legged now, we're down to the 2-legged. It's the young jockeys. All the good ones nowadays are going to sort of Maidan, aren't they? Sort of like the Ryan Moores, your Jimmy Fortunes, Jamie Spencer's, Kieran Fallon, they all go off for the big money in Dubai. So again, this is a little bit of a sort of a breeding ground for the young jockeys on the all-weather. And over the years, people who've latched on to Hayley Turner, Kirsty Mills-Lorek, the new coming sort of like stars of the summer, and they're still claiming 5. There's still some of them claiming 7. You've got to latch on early, and you can find each all-weather winter there's someone who's coming through. Last winter, Martin Harley emerged, sort of like with Nick Shannon, and he was getting on horses claiming sort of like £5 in claimers, sellers, things like that. They suddenly became good things, but you've got to latch on to these young people. You think, well, they're actually senior jockeys. They've got a sort of brain in their head. They ride good races, yet they're claiming £5. And with the all-weather racing, you're talking about only probably a £5 weight range and sort of like very low-class horses. So a good jockey on the back, you suddenly get occasionally value for money. The horse is probably an 8-to-1 shot, but if he gets on it, it suddenly becomes a 7-to-2 shot.
And who is this winter's rising star?
I don't know, there's a few around. Obviously, Kieran O'Neill, who just got beaten by Martin Harley, he's just ridden his claim out. But again, he was one, just the dying embers, still claiming £3, was always good value. Wanted to ride his claim out. There's a few. There was one on Saturday, Ian Burns, who's with Michael Bell. Obviously, Michael Bell, a very good schoolmaster. He's still a bit raw coming through, but he's still claiming 7, so watch out for him. There's a few. Ryan Powell, people like that, they're worth following.
Now, Bruce's 4th golden rule of all-weather betting, he's a bit more scientific, so I'll let him explain it.
No, it's just really sort of keep claimers on your side. I think sort of there's a lot of cards will have your 2- or 3-year-old maidens with lack of form. So obviously I would put a line through those. And some of the handicaps are totally impenetrable because obviously you won't know what's going to be sort of making the pace, and a lot of them run against each other each week. So that there's meetings where you suddenly come down to either the seller or the claimer. And I think the claiming races, again, my golden rule there is look at the trainers. Certain people sort of go for the claimers and work it very well, because it's basically the trainer handicapping his horse is what a claimer's all about.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, basically the horse is put into a race with a claiming price, but there's also, you're allowed to take, if you put a horse in at £15,000, say, in a certain claimer, that will probably equate to 9 stone in the weights for the race.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to say, I'm willing to let this horse go for 5,000, a lot less, that might suddenly get in off 8 stone 2 or something. So it's going to be getting weight from the other horses. So when the sort of trainers see the entries, they can obviously weigh it up and whatever and put their horse in for a certain weight. So essentially, a trainer might say, well, I'm willing to take a punt here. I want to win a race with this horse, so I'm going to put in at a low price against something that is probably sort of £10 better than me, but I'm going to make sure I get a stone off it. Okay. So he then puts a £5 claimer on, say, as well, which a lot of them do, and therefore, he's saying, well, I reckon I've got £10 in hand here. And there's various trainers who do that. I mean, there's the other way of looking at it is you put a horse into a claimer because you think it's too high in the handicap, sort of. So you put it in a claimer and put it off a little bit less rate, and say when it gets beaten, you go to the handicapper. Look, I told you it can't win off that weight. So there's lots of different games being played in claimers. So you've got to be able to sort of sort out what the thinking of the connections are when they run something in a claimer, and again that narrows the field down quite quickly. And there's good exponents, so like sort of Jamie Osborne often uses it each winter. Again, with sort of like the more interesting ones are the sort of 3-year-old, 4-year-old sort of claimers where they're more unexposed horses, and you're having to sort of like double guess what's going on. Obviously, it's again a bit of a cattle market. They're looking to sell horses on as well. So there's but those are the two. There's 2 sides of coming at a claimer, and I think that sort of very quickly narrows down claimers, and I think you can often come up with the sort of light bulb going on saying this is the one quite clearly what they're trying to do here.
The downside for a trainer in putting a horse at a low weight is obviously they'd lose it. If it was to win, they'd get claimed out the yard possibly.
That's right. I mean, that's what you go into the claimers saying, right, if I'm going to try and dress something up as a good thing here, but try and sort of like obviously camouflage it somehow, but if everyone else reads and goes, hold on, and then it wins by 5 lengths, obviously there'll probably be a lot of claims. But again, with a claimer, you can put in a friendly claim, so you're not certain to lose anyhow. So it's a double sort of jeopardy game that you put in. If there's 8 or 9 other people want to claim it as well, you're probably going to lose it. But again, because they're claimers, it might well be back in there in 3 months' time, and so you can claim it back later. So it's a waiting game, and it's an open market, and you take your choice really. Yeah.
Okay, well thanks for that, Bruce. Let's hope some of those golden rules improve your approach to all-weather racing.